What's up, everybody? Welcome to NESN Bets Kickoff. I'm Claudia Bellofatto here with LG Blount and LG. Thursday night, we got a pretty good one. This line has moved a lot. Dallas a big favorite at home against the Seahawks. Before we get into the game, though, let's look at the macro level of these two teams. Would you say that the Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender right now?
Ooh. That's still tough to say because these guys play really well. Sometimes they don't. You can get either one of those when it comes to the Cowboys. So with the inconsistency of them playing, really good teams at a high level and getting beat by the real Super Bowl contenders, I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna have to say no.
Yeah,
The NFC is just too strong for those guys to be one of the best teams.
They have to beat a team above 500, which they haven't done yet. So I'm with you there. What about the Seahawks? Do you think that they make it into the playoffs?
Ooh, I don't know what their remaining schedule is, but I know that the Seahawks do have Pete Carroll. What is it? Let's see what it is.
What's that?
Where are their remaining schedule?
They have Cowboys, Niners, and Eagles coming up. So the next 3 games of the stretch is not pretty.
After listening to that, but they always play Seattle good though. They always play the Niners good because that's a conference game. So they always play the Niners good. The Niners are just too strong, man. I'm gonna have to say no. The Seahawks ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I definitely am not convinced on this squad. All right, let's talk about tonight. Like I said, Dallas a big favorite, up to a 9-point favorite. Market has loved them. They were a small favorite to open at 6, so that's moved significantly. Do you have a feel on the side here?
Hey, that's America's team, so they always get the benefit of the doubt. And they're at home. So one thing I will say is playing them at home is really, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm gonna go either way, I'm gonna have to go with them at home. You have to go with them at home. This is gonna be the first game that they beat a team above 500. This will be a good game for them. They got to win something like this in order for people to really believe that they're Super Bowl contenders.
I agree. The offense has been on fire. #1 offense at home so far this season. I think that comes to fruition again tonight. All right, let's talk about some props here. What would you say is a better bet? We'll start with passing yards. Dak over 282.5, or Geno, all he needs is 230. There's a pretty big jump there.
I mean, 230 is a lot of yards considering the fact that we didn't see Mahomes pass for less than 200 before. So but if I was to take one guy, I'm taking Geno over 229.5. DK and Lockett are really good guys. I know Jackson Najigba, I think that's how you say his name. He's going to be coming along eventually. These guys are really talented at the receiver level. So I think that I'm going to go with Geno over on this one.
I see what you're saying, but I do have to disagree. Only 2 quarterbacks have gone over that number against this Dallas defense. I think it's going to be tough for him. He does have the weapons to his disposal, but this defense, the secondary, has proven to be very tough for opposing quarterbacks. So we're heads up there. All right, next one, let's go to rushing yards. Tony Pollard over 63.5, so he needs 64. Or with Kenneth Walker out, Zach Charbonnet is at 52.5. So again, pretty big difference in the numbers.
I'm going with Tony Pollard here. He got the most dominant, one of the most dominant offensive lines in the game. He's a really explosive football player. He's really, really good in between the tackles and outside the tackles. And we're starting to see a little bit more flashes of what we're used to seeing of him. Recently, he was not scoring a lot of touchdowns, not a big plays here and there. But the last couple of games, you're starting to see the flashes come back. So I'm going to go with Pollard on this one.
And the game script works well because they're expected to be up by at least 10 points. You're going to want to run the ball, bleed out the clock. I'm going to go
Hopefully they don't get Deuce Vaughn in there trying to run in between the tackles.
Yeah, the number's higher, but I think it's higher for a reason, so I'm with you. I'll go over. All right, what about receiving yards? CeeDee Lamb, again, big jump here in numbers. 83.5 for CeeDee, or DK 58.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, no matter how many times CDs went over, 130, 140, 120, you know what I'm saying? No matter how many times he's done that, he's done it a lot of times. But I'm gonna just say, man, 84 yards is a lot in the NFL. Like, that is. I know people don't think that that's a lot when you got guys that are averaging 130 and doing Tyreek numbers and all that kind of stuff. But 83 yards is a lot of yards in the NFL. However, I don't think that Seattle have a good enough defender to stop CeeDee from going over 83 and a half. So I'm gonna go with CeeDee on this one.
I think the matchup works well for him. He actually hasn't cashed it. You talked about the 100+ yard games. He did that for, 4 games in a row, and then the last two, he actually hasn't cashed this number. So I'm tempted to go DK just because I think for him, the defense is going to be tough, but he's averaging 68 a game. Maybe I'm just tempted by the lower number. All right, let's talk true.
But Lockett get the most targets.
Yeah, I think it's going to have
7
to be
a game.
split, though. Cowboys know who to cover. They're going to cover the number 1 target, so I feel like
smart. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
We'll see.
Common sense.
But I'm also under on Geno passing yards, so I'm kind of like sitting out of that question. Next up, true or false? Dak is an MVP candidate.
Dak, what he's shown me the last couple of games, he has shown that he can be. He is an MVP candidate. I will say that he's definitely in the conversation. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. There's no denying that. But do I think he's one of the better 2 or 3? Man, that's just hard to say. You got Hurts in front of him. You got Mahomes. You got these guys that are proven MVP type guys. Lamar. You got guys like that in there. So, I mean, dang, it's hard to jump. It's hard for Dak to jump over these kind of guys. He is an MVP candidate, but he's not the MVP.
Yeah, and the odds show that. You just mentioned the name I was waiting for you to say, and Lamar. He's tied with Lamar right now for the 3rd shortest odds. So, yeah, I think so. And yes, he has to beat a team over 500, but what he's been able to do, especially at home, the last 3 games at home, 300+ passing yards, 4+ touchdowns. He is on fire. 2nd best QBR. So stats recently do say he's playing his best ball. I think he should be in the conversation. Let's talk about CeeDee Lamb now. CeeDee, true or false? Is he a top receiver in the league?
True. CeeDee is one of the better receivers in the league. He's proven it over time. And it's not a lot of guys. Only the top guys go through a 3 or 4 game span where they put up ridiculous numbers and yards and catches and stuff like. Only the top guys do that multiple times in a row. And he's one of those guys. I think that CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 receiver in the NFL for sure.
Yeah. Again, when we're talking about the odds, he's tied with A.J. Brown right now. 3rd shortest odds. 3rd most receiving yards. Top 5 in touchdowns. So if we're talking stats, then yes, that is true. All right, we have a few Twitter questions before we go. Bill in Winthrop wants to know, what do you think is the best value pick for an anytime touchdown tonight?
The best value pick for an anytime touchdown tonight, I'm going to have to go, that's tough. I'm going to have to go with Tony Pollard. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to go with Pollard. That's I think that gives you the best odds. That gives you the best chance of winning that bet is Pollard for sure.
Yeah, it's a little juicy, but it's juicy because I think the opportunity is going to be there. So if you're out there watching Bill, Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson as well. He leads all tight ends in red zone targets, plus 180, pretty good value. All right, second question from Jerry J. He goes, hey, LG, do you like Pollard to go over his rushing yards prop? We kind of already talked about this. Do you feel strongly on this one?
I feel strongly on that. I feel strongly on that one.
All right.
Hey, LG.
He said it. The 12th Woe Man, I don't know what that means, but the 12th Woe Man wants to know which Seahawks receiver has the best chance on going off tonight over receptions, over yards. I feel like all 3 options are bad tonight with Geno. So I'm actually curious.
I don't know why to hate on Geno. Geno playing at a high level.
Okay, so you disagree with the Geno comment. Would you pick one receiver in particular? Because we just talked about the targets. Or do you think it's going to be spread out pretty evenly?
It'll probably be spread out pretty evenly, but you made a lot more sense when you said that, they will be taking away the number 1 receiver. That does make sense. So, and on top of that, I mean, they got a guy that has, 4 or 5 pick sixes? Like, it's insane. So, if I had to choose, I'm gonna still go with Lockett right here. He gets the most targets in the last 3 or 4 games. I'm gonna go with Lockett right here.
I don't think you can really go wrong with any of those answers. We do have one last question. It's about the Patriots, but for everybody watching, Watch Ultimate Betting Show tomorrow because I'm going to ask LG everything Patriots-wise. As for tonight, enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll see you next week.